Shanti, Shanti. Namah Shivaya, and welcome to meditation today. Some things, things have been very changing quickly, and a lot of external energy going on. One of the things that I want to focus on, I'm going to continue to focus on, is this idea of the inner wisdom, the inner strength, the inner shanti or peace that we're really looking for in yoga. There's always this idea that, I agree that yoga is an activist. It should be a spiritual activist effort. That it's not just all going inward and this leaving society behind. You have to get involved with society. You have to get involved with things that are going on around you. But it is first an inward journey and then an external journey. Without the inner journey first, the external journey just becomes a kind of misguided energy for somebody who's calling themselves a yogi, right? And that this happens so much in American culture and European culture, where yoga is a fitness class. The hatha yoga predominates. Some traditions in America are schools of yoga that, they don't even teach a meditation practice. It really is a fitness class. And then there's some feel-good affirmations and kind of statements that are made, and and people take that and say that they're practicing that idea of yoga, or union with the higher self. And then they even take that term yoga and they move it, saying this is about unioning with everything outside. And that is true, because once you union with the higher self, then you union with everything else around you externally. But you don't start with the union of externalization and then go just wait for the sky to fall and the higher self to fall on top of you. You actually work on that first, and then you take it outside of yourself. So there's that distinction between external activation and internal activation. When we work on the internal activation, or the connection to the higher power, the higher self, higher consciousness, when we come out of that, we can then get active in the world, and in a way that allows us to not have those actions become egotistical, right? When people start to become politically active, a lot of times they want to be recognized for their actions. They want to be recognized as dynamic speakers, and somebody to listen to, and somebody to seek out. And this happens both politically on the left and the right. And at times, both on the extreme right and the left, this idea of spirituality will kind of be fused into it to make it seem as if the person who's putting this activation out into the world is coming from a good place, that God is on their side, and that they have a deep spiritual practice. But sometimes it's just that's not the case. They've done little work internally. Their whole work within traditions of spirituality, whether, far right, far left, a liberal approach, a conservative approach, has all been for that external reward of being noticed, and being sought out as a personality. Um, a true yogi, who is a spiritual activist, they in reality they would just want to remain anonymous almost, or they may have a small group of people or circle of friends who know, what they're doing and how they're promoting a higher consciousness out in the world. But they're not looking to be recognized, or and it may happen that they become recognized, or somebody may say, will you start speaking, or will you come and teach. But if it didn't happen, they wouldn't be upset, because that internal activation is more important, that internal connection. And anytime you work on teaching, or putting stuff out into the world, that takes away from the energy of that internal practice. It pulls the person out. My teacher Yogashri, he spends a lot of time in isolation before he will teach, and then after he teaches a seminar, he will kind of go back into isolation for his own meditation and his own purpose of reconnection, because it takes a lot out of him. And so I've admired that and watched that he won't line one thing up after another. And he will even say, when I do these broader teachings, not like an hour during the week of meditation, but like these long seminars, or start talking about issues that need to be talked about. He said, I don't know when I'm going to do it. He said that the universe, kind of the internal self, tells me when the time to do it. And I don't see a lot of that happening with the structure that I know of in the West, in America and Europe. It's kind of like, you get on the circuit, you're on the circuit, and you've published, and then you're kind of like the academic. You've gone from yogi to academic. So if whatever you choose as a form of activism, I say, go for that. It's important. But also remember that the point of the activist stance is not to create some kind of like celebrity status around it. It really is for the purpose of the good it does as you do it. So just take a moment, and here again, this time we have is all about really the internal self. We may talk about something for a little while, have a dialogue about some issue that I've seen kind of pop up, but it's always to remind you to go inward. So establishing your seat, set up tall, and now that by bringing the shoulders over the hips and elongating the spine, it improves the posture. You can sit longer. The energy moves upward instead of kind of like collapses into the lower back. And bring the chin parallel to the earth. Close the eyes. And allow the breath to deepen. As the breath deepens, notice how the mind begins to focus. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. And as you inhale, hear the sound of Om within yourself, chanting the mantra internally. As you exhale, synchronize the exhale to that sound of Om that you're chanting internally. Inhale the sound of Om. Exhale the sound of Om. As you inhale the sound of Om, see the symbol of Om within the mind's eye. As you exhale the sound of Om, see the symbol of Om within the mind's eye. Continue this on your own. Continue deep inhales, deep exhales. Silently tell yourself, I'm not this body. Silently tell yourself, I'm not this mind. Silently tell yourself, I am not these thoughts. Silently tell yourself, I am not these emotions. Tell yourself you're Swayambakashit, self-illuminating, infinity, eternal, everlasting light. Inhale for the sound of Om. Bringing the hands together, rubbing the hands together, building heat within the hands. Bring the hands over the eyes. Allow the heat from the hands to be absorbed into the eyes. Bring the hands across the forehead, the top of the head, the back of the neck. And then bring the hands together in prayer, bowing the head down, allowing the forehead to touch the thumbs, recognizing the teachings and the teachers who have brought us these teachings from the past, the present, and the future. Om Bolo Sadguru Bhagavan Ki Jai. Namaste. Thank you all so much for being here today. And here again, keep practicing, keep thinking about the internal journey, and take time to guard yourself from the external journey, because that's a very exhausting journey. I will see you tomorrow.